It only took 5 career games for Victor Wembanyama to have a signature performance. In a matchup that featured the likes of Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, he emerged as the most impressive player on the court. And it felt like one of those showings that people will look back to 20 years from now and remember as the starting point. To say Wemby's impact was felt right away would be an understatement. On the very first possession of the game, Phoenix sets up an action that runs Booker off a screen and frees him up for a cut. But here comes Victor sliding down from the weak side to give him a nice introduction to his shot blocking. Next time down the floor, it's Jusuf Nurkic who gets the ball with downhill momentum, and he knows better than to test Wemby at the rim, instead trying to kick it out in a panic directly into the hands of the Spurs. About a minute later, it was Grayson Allen who had the ball in close, and when Victor slides down, he actually bites on the up fake, leaving Okogie wide open on the perimeter. This is where that 8-foot wingspan comes in handy, because even while completely out of position, he can use his other arm to reach into the passing lane for a steal. He was so dominant defensively to open this match that it wasn't until 4 minutes of play that the Suns would finally get on the board, and it came in one of the only ways that you can really avoid the guy, with a Kevin Durant pull-up jumper from the opposite elbow. The effect he already has on opposing offenses because of that rim protection is noticeable on every possession. This time he's the low man, defending the weak side corner, and as soon as the ball gets to Eubanks on a roll, in just one motion he's taking a giant stride towards the basket and wiping away a dunk. He can also shut off the paint like this when directly involved in the action through his drop coverage. He doesn't give Durant any space to comfortably step into a jumper, and when it's shoveled to the roll, he's agile enough to get back in front of that as well. Here's another example. When Booker comes off a screen, Wemby has to come up near the three-point line because of the shooting threat, and it's like he's tied to the ball on a string as he recovers back to his man to beat him to the spot, absorbs a shoulder bump to his chest, then keeps that length high to make it a tough finish. The way he moves at that size has never been seen before, and I'm not just talking about agility or body control, but also flexibility. And when these things come together, they allow him to defend in space fairly well. Here he's matched up with Booker in isolation, shows good hip mobility as he angles his body to close off any driving lanes, and the attack doesn't really materialize into anything. You can watch back any random Spurs game to start the season and find these things though. That defensive impact has been felt on a nightly basis. What stood out about the Phoenix game is that it was the first time we saw an actualized version of his offense, and I still can't believe what in the world I'm looking at. A big part of Wemby's scoring explosion in this one was that his teammates finally figured out that if you just toss the ball as high as possible anywhere around the basket, that guy's coming down with it. To start the season, San Antonio's awareness of Victor's presence looked a little bumpy, missing him in transition or when he sealed off position in the lane. But after just a couple film review sessions, the rest of the Spurs clearly understood the assignment, because against the Suns, they were tossing any and everything his way. He starts this one spotted up on the wing, and Zach Collins comes up to the elbow to set a back screen. The Suns do a good job of switching the action, but that leaves Eric Gordon on Wemby, who's quite literally an entire foot shorter. Needless to say, if that ball is placed within the same area code as the rim, it's getting dunked. This time it starts in the pick and roll. Wemby recognizes that the Suns want to switch, so he slips the screen to again get that matchup with Eric Gordon. Except things aren't as easy. Eubanks has completely crowded Keldon Johnson's airspace, giving him no vision or angle to enter the ball, while Gordon's playing in between. No problem, because Keldon can just throw it 11 feet in the air for the big man to go up and get, and he just makes the entire process look so easy. He has incredible hands to go with that length, so he can just snag anything that comes his way, which really stands out on the offensive glass. Booker makes an effort to box out hard, leading with the shoulder into Victor's chest, but he knows it's coming, so he braces for impact, then reaches his right arm over the top of Booker's head to tip the ball over to his left hand and draws a foul. When he does inevitably catch the ball anywhere inside of 10 feet, it almost feels like the possession is guaranteed to end in a great shot. What I want you to focus on is his feel for moving without the ball. When it gets to Collins in the post, he instinctively clears the lane, then when Collins attacks, he repositions himself to fill out that now open space, and that makes him an available target. With Eubanks still in between him and the basket, he's gonna take off vertically and extend his off arm to slam it in from above. This time it's a cross match in transition where he seals off Booker for a low post entry, and the pass is off target, so he again has to reach over the top and secure the ball with one hand. And while doing so, he recognizes that the defense is collapsing, so he turns that entry into a touch pass to Sochan, who's diving to the basket for some easy offense of his own. That low post game where he establishes deep position for quick decisions off the catch is a nightmare to handle. There isn't a player in the NBA who can contest his shot, and even if extra help gets brought in, that again doesn't change the fact that he can see right over them. So more times than not, these possessions just end with him getting a pair of free throws. Wemby can also set up in the mid post for isolations, and this is where the obvious matchup issues are most apparent, because if it's a smaller player, he'll just turn and shoot mid-range jumpers like they don't even exist. But if it's a bigger guy, then he can use his unique agility. As soon as he touches the ball, he's spinning baseline, and although it looks like there's no real angle to finish, his length gives him access to opportunities that don't exist for any other player. San Antonio went to that mid-post game quite a bit to close out the third quarter. This time he's matched up with a much smaller Booker, who aggressively plays the entry, and when it gets moved to the top of the key, you're going to see him try to switch as quickly as possible. But Eubanks isn't on that same wavelength, so Victor ends up with another free lob at the basket. Next time down, it started with that exact same setup, except this time Wemby gets the initial entry, draws an immediate double, and kicks it right back out to Keldon for a wide open three that just fails to extend the lead to 20. Another way the Spurs like to run offense through Victor is with him as a screener. He's such a devastating finisher around the rim that even the slightest miscommunication makes all the difference. Booker calls for a switch with Nurk, and it's a fraction of a second too late, so he's comfortably laying it in for two. Naturally, that means once he starts to roll downhill, you want to make an effort to close that space and meet him before he has a chance to touch the paint. Except he's also a very capable decision maker in the short roll, so he throws a no-look dot to the opposite corner, and Tre Jones is left on an island for a warm-up triple. Speaking of three-point shooting, Wemby can do that as well, so it's not just the roll that defenses have to worry about, but also the pop, and he'll punish anyone who decides to give him that much room. As a result of the outside threat, he's a huge floor spacer for the Spurs offense. It's kinda subtle, but the Suns only have one big man on the court, and with Victor at the top of the key, he's not in position to rotate to the paint. So when Tre Jones gets downhill, it's a non-rim protector that has to deal with both him and Charles Bassey. That's just the off-ball stuff though. The fluidity that this 7'4" alien is capable of pulling with as an off-the-dribble shooter has everyone losing their minds. At the end of the first half, he's the one who's initiating the offense, and he's gonna stutter step into a pull-up three right over the contest of Eubanks, nothing but the bottom of the net. This next one starts with him setting up about 30 feet out for an isolation from a standstill, and he uses his pivot to face the basket before throwing a rocker step into a one dribble pull-up three from the top, and someone in the comments please tell me what it is I'm witnessing. How about him getting into some more ball screen action, except this time as the ball handler, stepping into what looks like a pull-up three, Except that's a fake to get Grayson Allen off his feet, setting up a give and go, where we once more see that unmatched radius as a lob target. Victor finished this game with 38 points, knocking down 3 triples for an incredible efficiency of 66% true shooting. The Spurs had a 132 offensive rating and 107 defensive rating in his 34 minutes, meaning that they outscored the Suns by about 25 points per 100 possessions. He also marked 10 rebounds, a steal, 2 blocks, just completely filling up the stat sheet in the first of many signature performances. San Antonio is must-watch television, so if you have the chance, I'd turn on a game and witness this hype for yourself, because Victor Wembanyama has officially arrived. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn my post notifications on to be first on more content. If you're interested in my more in-depth research, make sure to check out my website and social media profiles. You can find those links in the description. Feel free to let me know down in the comments what you think of Wemby. As always, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.